The first two paragraphs in Sabbath's lesson read, scientists did an experiment with 4-year-old children and marshmallows. Each child was told by a scientist that they could have a marshmallow. However, if the child waited until the scientist returned from an errand, they would be given 2. Some of the children stuffed the marshmallow in their mouths the moment the scientist left. Others waited. The differences were noted. The scientists then kept track of these children into their teen years. The ones who had waited turned out to be better adjusted, better students, and more confident than those who didn't. It seemed that patience was indicative of something greater, something important in the human character. Do you all go, amen, amen? Is that what you think? That's not what I thought. The findings from the study were that some children waited and some children didn't. Those who waited were better adjusted later in life and had more confidence than those who didn't. That's what they observed. That was the observation. That's a legitimate observation to make. They made it. They made the observation. The question is, what does it mean and why? The lesson concludes that it's patience. Patience indicative of something greater. That's why. Some were patient, some weren't. But are there other explanations for this observation and these outcomes? For instance, could these differences be explained by differences in home life? A nurturing, loving home versus a chaotic, unstructured, or even traumatic and abusive home? Would such a childhood impact how well adjusted someone was later in life? If they lived in a home where I don't know, the history is that at Christmas, they get Christmas presents from their grandparents, and when they get home, their parents sell their Christmas presents in order to buy drugs. I have patience that this is their life history. All their Christmas presents were sold by their parents to buy drugs. If that was their home life, might they learn, now you can't trust what adults will say or do, so you better get the marshmallow now or you might not get one. And could that then impact their adjustment later in life? Was it really about patience? Is that really the lesson here? Or is it about trusting and about taking for yourself because you'll get taken advantage of if you don't? What about nutritional differences in brain development? If children had that lead toxicity from eating paint, we know their prefrontal cortexes are damaged. They have less impulse control, and they might be less adjusted later on. What about if they have undiagnosed ADHD? Let me tell you what it's like for an ADHD kid. ADHD kid may be intelligent, but they can't stay on task. They're easily distracted by things. So they're in school, and the teacher is giving a lecture about the capitals of Europe. And the capital of Italy is, that's a cool bird. I wonder if we have birds like that at home. And the capital of France is, you know what? Johnny's got a new pen. I wonder if Mom would buy me a pen like that. And this is how their mind rolls, okay, inside their head. And then when the teacher goes, now, what was the capital of Italy? And all the kids laugh. And they get a bad grade. And then the parents are disappointed. And the message comes and the child is internalizing, I'm not as smart as others. I'm not as good as others. I'm bad. I'm a bad person. And will that affect their adjustment? I'm not discounting in any way the value and importance of patience and the necessity of developing the fruits of the Spirit, nor am I discounting that whenever in life a person develops the fruit of the Spirit, that their life from that point onward will be better adjusted and they will have more confidence. Of course, I think the link between Christian maturity and healthiness is well established. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm pointing out that this particular study does not prove the link that they're trying to suggest. In fact, failing to recognize other causes that I just walked through, particularly biological causes, and misdiagnosing an impulsive child as having a spiritual problem rather than a neurobiologic one, could result in parents failing to provide the proper nutrition or getting the proper medical interventions, and instead bearing down with more authoritarian rules and discipline and consequences to teach their child better self-control, which would only work to instill in the child a distorted self-image, to discourage them, to instill a potential further sense of rebellion. Maybe the child drops out. Why try? You only get punished anyway. Maybe going down more destructive pathways that would not have occurred had the child been diagnosed early and treated early and therefore not been laughed at over and over again in class, not gotten bad grades because they got their prefrontal cortex online where they could pay attention and learn like the other kids. And the parents with a child who got treated early would be less stressed and worried about their child because they're not getting the reports from the school of the bad grades or the impulsive stuff, or they're not staying in the seat. And so the parents treat the children with more validation and pride rather than more criticism and disappointment. And do you think any of that has an impact on the child's confidence and success later in life?
Absolutely.
Now, if you're a parent and you look back after hearing what I just said and recognize that you had a child with biological problems when they were small and you didn't appreciate it at the time, and you didn't get them the medical treatment that they could have benefited by, what do you do today?
Right.
Do you beat yourself up? Do you feel guilty? Do you judge yourself with information that you have received today that you did not have at the time?
Yes.
No, that would be an error. That would be a fault. You would create a falsehood. No, what you do is you treat yourself based on the motive and recognize you were doing the best you could with the information you had for the welfare of your child, but you are not an omnipotent God and you don't know all things. Okay? So you judge yourself based on the motive of your decision, not simply based on the merits of the objective facts that you were unaware of at the time.